Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever it is, wherever you are. And welcome to the PyreSwap show, sponsored by Pocket. I think today feels like a very special day for me, even if it doesn't necessarily for everybody else, because I feel like this is like the moment of reversal of the trend. Like I think this is the moment where I think the only way left to go is up. For those of you who don't know, we just in the last 48 hours or so, we reduced our emissions from 1.75 to 1% daily expansion. And I want you guys to understand something like what we're doing with this strategy, because we already have tokenomics. Like we already have tokenomics. Like they are naturally deflationary until meeting happens. Right? Hi, Alito. How are you? Hi, everybody. Yeah. Good morning. And I guess I'll give everybody a little bit. Yeah. Good morning, Zero Kex. Good morning, CJ. Good morning, Zero Kex or Abolito. Yeah. The people that I can see. Yeah. And again, I want to voice my appreciation for everybody who has kind of like just been part of this journey with us. I think that we, as a project, I think we do a really good job at like making our user base more than our user base, if that makes sense. I think that, thank you. Now, for those of you who don't know, our tokenomics are naturally deflationary until meeting happens, meaning they're deflationary up until the point where it's profitable for them to be inflationary to somebody, right? Now, what this means is that we always have a positive amount of deflation. Now, back when we had decay, we had a higher degree of deflation. Do you guys understand that? That decay was helping deflation quite a bit. But I think the fact of the matter is that decay made it difficult for people to understand what was happening to the token. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like the amount of complexity PyreSwap has naturally is already way above most projects. The decay itself was adding in a completely another metric, another parameter of complexity that I think was causing too much mental labor for people to understand about this token. And the fact of the matter is that this token is already it already has one of the most deflationary utilities across Web3. It's definitely like that is really the bet to make here, because we didn't invent token decay. Like token decay was something that we saw other places in Web3, but the incantation witch vault and the active staking and the smoldering, these are things that we invented, right? They're from PyreSwap. They're proprietary to PyreSwap. We always have a positive amount of deflation. So like in order for us to effectively get guaranteed into an uptrend, is that like we need to reduce inflation until it is outpaced by deflation. And what's funny is that this is the same job that Jerome Powell has, arguably. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like we're just going to get inflation under control. And we're just now like hiking the rate, as it were. We are in fact bringing inflation down to the point that deflation can begin doing the work. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, we're actually hiking rates. We're hiking rates technically. If you want to think about like our expansion supply, when Jerome Powell is hiking rates and going hawkish, this is in fact contracting supply. This is reducing supply, or should I say, it's reducing the rate of supply expansion, because the Federal Reserve never goes to 0% expansion. Does that make sense? They just bring their expansion rate down to the point that the economic growth of the country outpaces it. Does that make sense to you guys? Right. So there's the advantage that we have that dollars don't have is that dollars can't really contract in supply. Like they do whenever they get destroyed or whatever, but believe it or not, they're getting counterfeited and debased all over the place. And then of course you have banks that lend it fractionally as well. So they're indeed, Maddie, yes. So the dollar naturally like inflates because they didn't really have ledger technology back when they were inventing this stuff. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So anyways, we need to reduce inflation until it's outpaced by deflation. I want you guys to understand something. The entire reason, yeah, like the name PyreSwap was almost called what? Who here knows this? Who here knows this rare gem of PyreSwap knowledge? Who here knows? Yeah, Fuego Swap. Literally Fuego Swap. And everybody hated this name. And it's really good that we went with Pyre because I think that Pyre. Yeah, thanks, CJ. Literally, like I didn't even have an aesthetic in mind. It was like Fuego is the Spanish word for fire. And thank you for that gift, by the way. But literally, like, I basically got vetoed for this. So, like, we're not calling it Fuego Swap. That sucks. But do you guys know why it was fire themed? Do you guys understand why they were both fire themed names? Because this DEX is fucking deflationary. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, deflation, like the burning of money, is like a central theme of the DEX. Yeah, it's a central theme of the DEX. Right? So we use the fantasy fiction aesthetic, and we have like witches getting burned on altars, or maybe there's a summoning circle getting burned with like a flaming pentagram or some shit like that. The fact of the matter is, if this DEX can do anything, it can burn token. Now, I think that a lot of people are looking at like the rate of participation right now and saying like, oh, but at this rate, it'll take forever to burn. Yeah, I agree. This is not the rate we're building. Yeah, like, first of all, deflation has two aspects. It's the buying and it's the burning. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, it's not just those things. It's as it's buying and burning, it buys a little bit, then it burns a little bit. Then it buys a little bit, then it burns a little bit. And I need you guys to understand that these two things are like two different legs stepping forward to the same goal. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And like enough of the user base understanding this effectively will get people to understand that, okay, this is inevitable that the price will go up, right? And all it takes is for scarcity to be felt. Scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. So we're going right now. As we bring our price chart flatter, by the way, I did look at the charts earlier. They do seem like they're tapering flatter. You can see that convexity kind of in the chart only because we're forcing it to be there. Does that make sense? We are forcing the convexity in there. Do you guys get what I'm saying? As it gets flatter, eventually people will realize that this token is now going to become scarce. The majority of it is being held illiquid by people who got it out of Genesis. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So this new user base that we're onboarding, they can still get it from Genesis, but they can't get it nearly as well as the people who were here in June and July and August. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, so we're making these buying and burning, and they're just so small and they're so tiny, maybe people don't care. The fact of the matter is that like we have not even really begun our awareness campaign. We have not really begun our awareness campaign. Like when you start an awareness campaign, you have to be coming from all directions at once, multiple platforms, consistently and constantly. Does that make sense? So we have 2 Twitter accounts. By the way, there's a Twitter channel in the PyreSwap server, and you guys can go support the Turkish Twitter. By the way, tomorrow I'm on a call with Istanbul Tech University. Yeah, the first blockchain department at a Turkish university it now exists, and I am on a call with them tomorrow. Exciting. I might be on a different. By the way, we are no longer the sponsor for AVAX Talk. At least not for September. We might start again in October, but September I'm gonna focus mostly on getting our Reddit awareness campaigns activated, getting our short form content getting activated. Does that make sense? So we're going to go very, very intense on Reddit and short form. And Reddit, short form, and Twitter, they're all going to feed into each other. Does that make sense? We also already have YouTube kind of doing well. But like we have our own YouTube content. When we have our own content platforms kind of churning things out, then we will add the marketing aspect of more YouTube, which will then kind of like make our wheel spin faster. Because we will just stochastically create the fucking stampede of people that I think a lot of people in Web3 think is a successful launch. Does that make sense? Like all we have to do now is make the chart bottom and make it just reverse trend the slightest amount. Just make it tick up. Does that make sense to you guys? Like all you gotta do is make it tick up. And once it starts ticking up, like people suddenly they feel relief. Do you guys get what I'm saying? The user base right now, I'm talking about you guys. You guys feel cortisol, but believe it or not, you guys are very weathered now. You guys are, I've definitely realized that because I am able to do this with zero emotion and force my user base through it with me, I definitely have helped you guys, I guess, get a better grip on your investor emotions. I will, maybe you guys aren't thankful for that yet, but in the future, I think you will be. Yeah, I know that like what looks extremely chaotic to a lot of you guys, maybe it's rare for you guys to think that that's a situation I have under control, but the reason our chart is doing what it's doing is not a mystery. The inflation rate is higher than its deflation rate, and we did not have marketing happening. There wasn't really new awareness, not like in droves at least. We were maybe getting like a few dozen people, but we want all of these things happening daily and then feeding off each other. Kind of like it's a stochastic process like boiling water in a pot. You want the heated sides of the pot to begin heating the water close to the sides. But then as you excite those molecules of water, they begin bouncing off each other in the center. And then eventually your whole pot is boiling and you've changed phase. So literally right now, as soon as the chart gets flat and as soon as it's going to an uptick, you guys, and I want you guys to imagine this, you'll feel relief for a second, right? Really the tension in your stomach will dissipate, right? You won't feel cortisol as much, but you'll feel relief. But after a few days of feeling relief, something else will happen because I think people will realize that, oh, wow, that was the bottom. And I mean, relief was a good feeling at the time, but now that I think about it, if it just continues to go up, people will begin speculating. And I mean, the user base that we already have will begin speculating. Does that make sense? Do you get it? Like I said back in June that the Genesis wasn't the only time that money could be made with PyreSwap. I guess I happen to be proving that earlier than expected. But I think what's amazing is we really get to prove that red candles can't kill this project. Like we really get to prove the shit out of that. Like I don't think any other project has been able to make that claim and then prove it so absolutely extremely. Yeah, like prove it like an absolute zealot. I don't think anybody else could stomach this. But we really get to prove that red candles don't kill this project. And so we get to start creating some green ones, right? So again, we have a non-zero rate of deflation all the time. All we have to do is get inflation beneath that. Right now it's at 1%. We might already be there. We'll find out in the next couple days. Once you start seeing this happen, you'll see we'll kind of be flat for a while, and then what will happen is there will be like a high volume day. And a high volume day on the DEX, it could be different for it could be different for different chains. Like, so if AVAX rallies to like $35, like that will be great for the AVAX side, but it might not necessarily affect the yellow or the blue side. And this will create, by chain reaction, a lot of incants, which do create higher green candles. Does that make sense? They create like higher green candles, so it creates more buy pressure. We could also, by the way, there's a lot of pairs on the DEXs that don't actually even really feed, that they're not really that deep either. But they will create these buys that will end up being, I guess you could say, the first indication that we're in an uptrend. And the uptrend isn't going to look like a crypto pump. Does that make sense? Like, it will still look velvet rope-like in an uptrend. Does that make sense? And for the people who understand this pattern, like, they'll wrap their heads around what they need to do next. And enough people coming to this conclusion, coming to this level of confidence that this uptrend is actually a thing now, they'll get us trending again all by themselves, right? So while we are in fact maneuvering the chart back into an uptrend, we are on the other side getting things ready, getting the human side organized so that we are able to just dominate on our Reddit awareness as well as our short form content like TikToks, Reels, and Shorts. Does that make sense? So when we have Reddit posts, those are great for Twitter. When we have short form, that's great for Twitter. When we have tweets, those are great for short form. When we have tweets, those are great for Reddit. Yeah. And we'll have all of this coordinated and done for the purpose of doing what we actually want. We want the people that are going to effectively learn about the project for the first time. They're going to see this uptrend, and they're going to see people speculating on it. They're going to see the second degree of uptrend. Do you guys remember this part? We'll call it degrees of uptrend. I don't think it's degrees. I guess it's orders. I guess it's degrees. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Right? The first one is deflation higher than inflation. Right? The second one is speculation, and I think to the power of deflation. We'll just write that deflation right there. And then the third order, the third degree, is speculation to the power of speculation. Do you guys understand this? Now again, this right here is not like the goal. I want you guys to understand that it's still bigger than this. This right here is all I can really show publicly. Does that make sense? Like, I don't really have, it doesn't make sense for me to explain that, like, okay, we have a bunch of templates for Reddit posts. We're going to organize probably 5 people within the Sandwich Circus to kind of be the people that are consistently getting posts about PyreSwap on other subreddits as well as our own. They are going to in fact coordinate with each other to get PyreSwap upvoted on these subreddits to the point that we're actually getting organic engagement and we're getting organic eyeballs. Right? Now, that right there might take a week or 2 or 3 to actually spin up into a rhythm, but we're building a factory. Does that make sense? Because the fact of the matter is, while this is happening, while this is just tiptoeing along, we want awareness to go up. Because this right here, the chart that we're going to create right here is the perfect chart to back up the claim that red candles can't kill this project. Do you guys understand? I don't know if Web3 has ever seen a chart go down to this point and then start climbing back up and consistently climb back up. I can't think of a chart that's seen like that. First for everything. Yeah, first for everything. Dr. Mac, do you want to know why I think that is? I think it's because those are projects that red candles can kill. Yeah. I think that might be a key difference. Yeah. I actually, oh, the Phantom chart. Well, I mean, it went from like $3 to like 18 cents, but that's still not. Oh, it did went sub penny. I actually don't even know from. I didn't hold that much. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, fantastic, phenomenal. It crashed from what, like multiple dollars? Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah. Phantom is a DAG. Yeah, a DAG is a type of ledger. Yeah, so a directional acyclical graph. You know, I use graph theory for the liquidity of PyreSwap. Yeah, a DAG is man's best friend. Yeah. What kind of DAG do you got? Yeah, proof of concept indeed. Do you like DAGs? Fantastic. I'm really glad everybody was able to recognize that we're talking about Snatch. Yeah, twinning. Twinning indeed. Do you like DAGs? Yeah. Brad Pitt's best accent work, in my opinion. Okay. So, we're going to prove that. This is our awareness campaign right here. I want you guys to understand something. Does everyone understand that when these tokens hit the meeting threshold, there's a whole bunch of resistance there, especially on Phantom, where part of the work there is getting 2 ohm back to peg? Do you guys understand the resistance? So, clarify. Okay, so CJ, so Pyre Phantom provides support for 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm. Yeah. Support and resistance. Are you familiar with support and resistance? Like in general? Oh, by the way, we raise awareness while we have this thing clicking away. And we get awareness happening exponentially as well. Like, we're not going to just get 5 more YouTube videos, nothing like that. Because my attitude towards marketing before was like checking a box. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, we're not checking a box anymore. Like, our marketing efforts are going to be there forever. Like, we might be able to scale them down, but like, I think that we should always have like these weekly and daily quotas for what we're doing on all of our like our outlets. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And I should be able to yeah. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, if you understand, there's a diagram, and basically it works like this. Yeah, like 2 ohm, 3 ohm, Z ohm are resistance for Pyre Phantom. They are in fact mechanical resistance. Like, I've never seen in Web3 like a clear line of support and resistance. Whereas Pyre Phantom, is support. And by the way, we're talking about the TWAP. We're talking about the time-weighted average price. Yep. And Fexer, I don't know if you ever saw a diagram where I had to explain that in order... Have you seen the galaxy, the solar system diagram? Like, Pyre Phantom needs arguably... If you want it to tractor 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm, it needs to be bigger. Like, it needs to be able to absorb the damage that 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm can do to it. So we are in a unique scenario where we have a lot of whales holding this token illiquid. The good news is that all of the GPSE whales, they're long term. Like, they're not here because they're trying to milk a Genesis. Like, they're holding it illiquid because they know that this token gets the peg at some point, right? Like, it would be stupid to sell when it's 0.004 or whatever, right? Where it's half of 0.01 TWAP in that range, below 0.01. They're all like below 0.01 right now. So, effectively speaking, like, that's a real advantage we have. That's a real advantage we have, because the fact of the matter is that, like, as we begin going into an uptrend, like their hands are going to be diamond. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Right? Like, I'm talking to a lot of them, by the way, and I'm just basically going to say, at this line of support and resistance, this is where we want to deepen liquidity and get it flat again. Because this moment right here is when we get to prove that these things can bring the tomb forks to fucking peg. Does that make sense? Like, Pyre Phantom just needed to get down, get a running start like a fucking sprint, so that when it gets back up to 2 ohm and 3 ohm and Z ohm, first of all, by the way, I think 2 ohm is at like 0.07 TWAP. What that means is that it's a 14x just to get to the mid line. Pyre Phantom is a 14x just to get to the mid line. Yeah. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And the token is naturally deflationary. If you guys understand it, it's like, okay, it gets burned a little bit, it gets bought a little bit. It gets burned a little bit, it gets bought a little bit. It's not just those, we're not just focusing on that layer. The layers are always the human element. Like, you can't have a market without human elements. We're never just looking at what's happening on the chain. I am designing what's happening inside the human actors' minds. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, it would be preposterous to not effectively, once that relief goes away and suddenly you start feeling dopamine and serotonin again, another emotion will take over, and that emotion will create that second order, or should I say that second degree of uptrend, and possibly the third degree of uptrend as well. And that's great. That's great that we can count on our own user base to make this happen, because it's that type of behavior. Now though, I was just wondering where you were. We're gonna do a demonstration of active staking. We're gonna do a demonstration of active staking because we have a celebrity with us today. We have Necessary Growth, and I owe Necessary Growth prize money. And the fact of the matter is that I need to convert people into active staking believers. And let's see, I'm gonna get my fancy stool here. And can you guys see my screen? Now, unfortunately, Naldo, I know you're an Avalanche guy. This demo wallet, unfortunately, only has Phantom on it, but it's okay. It's okay. It works the same way on Phantom that it does on Avalanche. And here, we have a whole bunch of, by the way, we have a whole bunch of people that just passively staked. I want to be clear with everybody following this right now that this is 34,900 token that shouldn't be in there right now. This is staking the way that it always is. Like, this is the way that stake, like, imagine staking like you've always known it. You get some type of yield for being staked. However, there's two types of yield happening at the same time in a witch vault. There's positive yield and there's negative yield. And because all the positive yield happens in a single moment, but negative yield is spread out over time, it makes more sense to just only show up when the positive yield is coming, which again could be as high as a 49% daily yield. I gotta jump in, excuse me. What do I have? I have 264. So I have this countdown right now because at the end of this minute, at the end of this 49-second segment, all the positive yield is gonna get distributed at once. You might notice that other people are going to play as well, and we're going to see this current Pyre Phantom stake number begin mooning, for lack of a better word. You'll see a stampede of tokens jump through here, and what that will do is that will actually depress this EPR a little bit. We might get EPR above 1 cent, above 1%, below 1%. It's been a bit erratic these last few days. I think that people are playing with a little bit less money now. It seems like there's 900,000, but we'll find out. 12% of 34,000. We'll find out. I don't know if we'll see 900,000 this time around. I think that a lot of let's try this out. Come on, MetaMask. Come on. Did I miss? I might have been too late. I forgot I needed to queue MetaMask up. Let's see what happens. 773,900, not bad, only 3.9%. If we actually realize 3.9%, that's pretty good. But maybe a whole bunch more came through, and I have no idea. Did I get in or did I get out? No, I think I missed it. Holy shit, did I miss the window? Let's see what happened. Look at that. You guys, I was trying to demonstrate this for Naldo, and sure as shit, I got blocked by my own guard. This is the second time it's happened. I gotta stop talking so much. By the way, yeah, you know, this is meant to be high adrenaline, and you can also see that the chat goes quiet in the ultimate minute. That's my favorite part of this Discord. Like, when the ultimate minute happens, like, nobody's looking. They're just completely in the fucking dashboard. Yeah, well, it seemed like whoever actually won, there was like 3.9% yield for them, right? So if you understand what happened, a whole bunch of people staked, and then they unstaked as soon as the yield was distributed. So they claimed and unstaked it here, and they got profit from that. Yeah, thank you, CJ. Yeah, yeah, CJ, I definitely needed to pull up MetaMask earlier, probably maybe 5 or 10 seconds earlier. It's always you know, depending on the chain you're on, depending on like what gas is doing, there's always an aspect of variability. But anyways, we have effectively slowed the roll of the boulder in our psychopathic, should I say, lunatic demonstration that red candles can't kill this project, right? Oh wow, is that everybody failing? Yeah, so 6 people failed. Is that what you're showing, Fexer? Yeah. Well, you know what, Fexer? I think that's Fexer. That's a great indication of the whole balancing. Yeah, again, like lowest. You want to get in, but you don't want to be the latest, right? Yeah, you want the counterbalancing. It's like, hey, you want to be the latest in, but you don't want to be the first to miss. Yeah, that sucks. Because for me, you know, it's like banking blue balls. You're like, oh man, I was about to scalp yield, and instead all I have is a failed transaction. And now what do? Just sit here for 6 hours and sulk? Goodness gracious. But that I think that makes it that much sweeter. Yeah, that makes it that much sweeter when you do actually win. So, well, bravo, sir. Bravo, sir. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm really glad that we actually saw that, because the yield was still pretty high, considering everybody's saying, oh no, we turned APR down. This is going to make the yield go down. It's like, well, the yield was actually pretty high. Like, I think it was 3.9% realized, because everybody was waiting for the last minute. I like seeing that 6 people fail to get in. That shows that we have a, you know, that's a good user base. Did you get in, Vexer? Or did you not? Or you were just in the 6? Yeah, it's that GIF exactly. Well, I have no idea which one I am, but I do know that I have a contract failure in my MetaMask. So I missed the window. You gotta get dialed in. You gotta be locked in for active staking. If you miss the window, it might not be coming back. But this is something that happens every 6 hours. Yeah. Cynical, that's 100% done on purpose. Yeah. One of the anti-botting measurements is just the fact that all the human actors are always going to be like pivoting and changing what they're doing. Do you get what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, you want to increase the amount of like chaos. You want to increase the amount of like re-strategizing in the user base, because like as people, yeah, I guess I could install Rabby too. I think we actually have Rabby, and I never put the recovery phrase in. But yeah. Anyways, the chaotic concoction of actors. I think something I want to do, by the way, is I want to actually maybe appoint a few channelers. Yeah, like actual channelers who are really, really good at the witch game. I have a few people in mind, and I think that I can teach some more advanced witch game stuff to the channelers, because I think having channelers already kind of covening the witch vaults and understanding what to do and how to do this Um, I think that will effectively, as it's designed, like a good team of channelers is very, very good at keeping the witch game going and keeping the witch game healthy. Meaning that EPR can stay healthy if like the channelers know what they're doing, if they figure out like what to do and what not to do. And I think that when I get done with this next stretch of getting content automated, I might spend some time getting channeler tactics maybe written out to help people understand that the games, like the games of the night game and the games of the witch game, they're not just what happened on blockchain. Like they also are human to human communication. Like that's part of the game. Yeah, like that's part of risk, that's part of banking, that's part of finance, and that's part of economics. Damn. I can't believe I didn't get to demo this today. By the way, guys, if you guys could check out this channel called Twitter, we have our Turkish content there. There's stuff there. If you guys can retweet it every now and then, that would be useful. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Like, I feel disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to demo active staking because I got shut out by my own game. But I guess it's important that I prove, it's important that I prove that it's fair. Yeah, no, for sure. Arguably, though, this is an example of the fact that you could get 4% profit in like less than 2 minutes. Yeah, I think it was 3.9% EPR. Yeah, it's 6:30. It's 6:30 Chicago time. That's what Pyre Producer is saying. It'll actually be 12 p.m. UTC. Or sorry, it'll be 11:30 a.m. UTC. 6:30 a.m. Chicago time, 7:30 a.m. New York City time. Okay, well, again, like if you want to understand how this works, the reason that we're able to provide a high percentage of yield, like day after day and epoch after epoch, is the fact that you have this rate of positive yield and you have a rate of negative yield. So your net yield here, the net yield stays high because the risk of negative yield makes people minimize their exposure. They don't just sit their money in there and park it. I mean, granted, there's about 39,000 in here that's parked or whatever. This is 34,000 that's parked. It's not supposed to be parked. We put a gigantic orange warning label there so people wouldn't park it. But again, all I can say is we thank them for their service towards deflation. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say. Also, in about 1 minute, I might be able to usurp. Do you guys want to see if I can usurp? Usurping is another vicious and high difficulty aspect of this, where if people don't claim their yield, they actually forfeit it. Meaning that like other people can go in and claim it because your rewards here are only ever reserved until you claim them. You'll notice here that we say incants reserved. We don't say incants earned. You have to claim them in order to see it. Let's see. I got 17 seconds till I can get in. Let's try it. Come on, MetaMask. Come on, believe in yourself. Okay, it's open. Let's see if I can get some usurping incants. Well, we see 47,000, so some of us in there. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. I got 2 pennies on my 39 cents. That's pretty big, you guys. That's like 5% yield. 5% over here. I'm playing with 39 cents, but again, 2 pennies on 39 cents is a pretty big yield. I'm making my gas money back. Goodness gracious. There we go. Well, at least I was able to demonstrate usurping on camera. Did you guys see that? Yeah. Do you guys want to see it again? Because you can loop through with usurping. You can just do it again and again and again. Let's see if there's still some in there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I'm playing with a very small bag, so maybe there's still some in there. Nah, nothing, I guess. Oh well. I imagine somebody with a much larger bag usurped the whole thing. But again, you know, this is just an example that you have negative yield happening you have negative yield happening over a wider window of time. You have positive yield happening over an instant. So effectively speaking, you're just trying to get in and get out only when you're getting positive yield, because positive yield is going to offset that. So the negative yield is not a cost. Rather, it is a cost, but it is like you still have profit at the end of the day. And this is extremely deflationary for the token. So we've been inflating it over this Genesis extremely well, and we're going to stop that now. And anyways, does anybody have any questions? We're eventually going to have another computer where I can look at more chats at the same time. And otherwise, any questions? Because I can wrap it up here. I'm having a great day. I'm really just bullish on you guys. Like, I think that we really have like just such an amazing community. I've definitely looked at other communities lately, and I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I don't want to sound like all elitist like I normally do, but 35, phenomenal. Well, like our community, they're just, I don't know. Like whether it's been the fact that we've now been doing stuff that other projects can't do, and you just end up with like a different breed of user. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like our users, they understand what they're doing. They don't cry about things. Yeah, like we have these people that can be bullish on any candlestick day. Yeah, Maddie, agreed. Yeah, hardened in battle. Yeah, like our user base just has this level of consistency. Yeah, and like Maddie, I can like see it now, because it's like everybody has this type of attitude now, where like they now understand that like it's not. I think if another project founder was like just up on stage being like, "Don't worry, guys, I have a fucking plan." Yeah, bearish impossible. Thank you, Faxer. Don't worry, I have a fucking plan. I wouldn't believe in a plan if I couldn't do like the math around it. You guys get what I'm saying? If I couldn't prove the theoretics behind the plan. I think that enough people understand that it's deflationary. Like the incantation witch vault is deflationary. We're not just betting on this witch vault doing it with 10 people. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Because the exponent there is as we get into a deflationary stage and we begin upticking and we prove, hey, red candles can't kill this project, and our chart's gonna literally look like this, right? Does that make sense? Like, this is the chart that I'm comfortable with marketing. Do you guys understand? Because the people who get awareness of this project and they understand, like, oh shit, red candles really can't kill this project because other projects can't come back from this. But this, it will. Yeah. We had to prove it in a way that nobody could doubt it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? We had to prove the shit out of this. I'm glad we got to prove the shit out of this because there's been so many people that have doubted this project, and it's going to feel a little bit good. Yeah, it's going to feel a little bit good. I don't want to sound petty. I don't want to sound anything less than magnanimous and grateful. But like the people that doubted this project, the people that couldn't wrap their heads around it, the people that were maybe this, maybe that, fuck them. Yeah, fuck them. Like when we get our user base, they're going to be people that are battle hardened. They're going to be resilient. They're going to be smart people. So we're going to have the smartest and toughest community in Adapt, like for years. We're just going to be like the super soldiers of Web3. Yeah. Not for beginners. I want you guys to understand something. Like the thing that you guys all have in common, we're just after those people. Like those people, all we got to do is find a few hundred of them in order to create de-individuation. We can find them. We just increase awareness about the project. And that's all we're doing for the rest of the year. That's all we're doing for the rest of time, probably. Yeah, I mean, we're doing other stuff, but we will be increasing awareness of the project perpetually going forward. We're not just going to market our launch because this product is not just a launch. Like this project is meant to go on for years and years and years, right? So there's no point in just marketing for a launch. Yeah, 100%. I mean, now though, the fact that red candles can't kill it is literally also what prevents the community from draining out. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because people eventually figure out, it's like, well, it could get worse, well, it could get worse, well, it could get worse. But then there's a fucking moment where it's like, but it could also get better. And if it does get better, I definitely don't want to miss that. Because if it does get better then it's going to get really better. It's going to get better consistently. There is a filter to this. I want you guys to understand something. This is something a mentor of mine told me. And he said, you don't really know anyone until you have seen them deal with adversity. Do you guys understand this? You don't really know anyone until you have seen them deal with adversity. Do you guys understand what I mean here? Like you don't really know the truth of somebody until you see them really going through it. Like everybody can be your friend on Green Candle Day. Do you guys know what I mean? It's so easy to be your friend on Green Candle Day. But I think you don't really know, like, the tenacity, the toughness of somebody, who they are when all the ego and superficiality is stripped away until you've seen them when it's really bad. And I think now I've seen the community when it's really bad, and I'm very impressed. I'm really humbled. Yeah, Maddie, exactly. Well, anyways, does everyone understand the plan? We are going to decrease inflation until deflation outpaces it. If we need to taper emissions again, we might. I don't think we need to. I think right now we're going to be flat, and then what we're going to do is we're going to effectively wait for a market surging day. Yeah, I guess that's the fact of the matter. We're going to wait for a volatility day. Volatility days will create large incantations. we might get the channelers going as well to figure out more tactical ways where how a coven can kind of control a witch vault. Covens, and I'm going to talk about witches. Knights and witches in the GPSE, they're both playing a game with each other where they all take a certain amount of risk on each other based on the amount of trust they feel towards each other. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? This is the idea of a credit union. Do you guys know this? A credit union is a group of people organized who have the ability to take a larger risk on a group because it's backed by a collective. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's easier to borrow and lend when everybody's spreading that risk around. That's what a credit union is. So in the witch game, the witches can actually communicate with each other and discuss ahead of time what they're going to do. And because of this, they're able to build trust with other witches who effectively get to prove their credit worthiness through consistency. It's from them doing this, they can keep the yield enticing and consistent for all players, or at least the majority of them. As they slowly build teamwork, they can also learn how to deal with undesirables too. Exactly, ZeroKex. So if I hadn't explained it before, this is a bit big brain. I'm not trying to leave anybody scratching their head. But the most real advantage position, and by the way, this is a normal distribution curve, is all right here. In the witch vault, it's like everybody wants to be last all the time, right? Being last is always good. It doesn't matter whether you're small or whether you're big. Being last is always good. But in order to figure out it makes more sense to not worry so much about hey, am I going to be the last one? It makes more sense to be like, hey, what do I know the positive yield is going to be? Right? Does that make sense? Deciding all in the last minute, what the negative yield is going to be because you're going to jump in at the last minute. You saw 6 of us fail to do that just now. 6 of us failed to even get into the witch vault. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because all we're thinking about is, okay, we're just in it for ourselves, etc., etc. Coven members, meaning the more senior witches, they can have an agreement with each other that based on the amount of expected yield, they're going to play with a certain size position. So they're going to play in a way where the pie gets split regularly and consistently in a way that they find agreeable and attractive. Do you guys get what I'm saying? A strong coven can make it so that every single epoch, they get 2% positive. Does that make sense? So even if they stake early, they know that they're likely to get a 2% if other witches, if the other channelers are playing the way that they have said they're going to play. This is very similar to the Byzantine general problem. Do you guys know about the Byzantine general problem? Correct, ZeroKex, and that's how you build credit. A Byzantine general problem, Maddie, is something to do with consensus on a blockchain. And basically, what it means is, how do I know the guy who said he's going to send help is actually going to send help? It's way too long for me to get into this, but it is a game theory concept, and it's very, very tied into blockchains where they mine and they stake. Yeah. So it's called Byzantine general problem. Here, I can actually pull this up on screen share. Byzantine general problem. Yeah, Byzantine fault. There you go. Let's look at this one. There you go, Bitstamp. What is the Byzantine generals problem? The Byzantine generals problem is an analogy to describe the difficulties of reaching consensus in distributed systems. These systems are as nodes. So what this means is the Byzantine generals problem is an analogy to describe the difficulties of reaching consensus. Anyways, it is a popular game theory query, and what it means is that the scenario involves multiple regiments of the Byzantine army stationed at various areas outside an enemy city. Now they want to siege the city, but they need everybody to work together in order to make the siege happen. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Anyways, the coven, if they actually begin communicating with each other, they know that Figuring out how to manage negative yield is literally being a rat. It's literally just being a fucking animal. Does that make sense? But they can in fact humanize the game by communicating with each other and saying, okay, we know we expect this much yield, so we're all going to play with this much, right? It's fine to try to race to be the last, but the fact of the matter is they can have an agreement up front that they're going to use this amount of money. Now, believe it or not, the normal distribution curve is already incentivized by the game. Does that make sense? Like, there's always the most advantageous position is generally the one in the middle. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, so the game already selects for middle of the pack because the people who are the whales have to, in fact, risk more to get a smaller amount, and the people who are risking the least, they might be wasting their time. Does that make sense to you guys? Well, also, why so cynical? Fexer, you mentioned that people who are playing with the largest bags, they've been sitting out a few rounds. Electronic has also done it. Passing is part of the game, you guys. Passing is part of the game. Yeah. So effectively, a real coven. And by the way, we will have private coven chats in this server eventually. Yeah, exactly. It's like we all know that we're racing to be the last. Like, so the witches can say, hey, we all know we're racing to be the last. But how about we make it so that no matter who gets last and who gets first, we can keep this game going. And therefore, what that requires is determining what the optimal amount to play with is based on the expected amount of players. Now, there's always going to be randomness in the system, right? We've got 34,000 staked there passively on Phantom. I have no idea what that is, right? But like, generally speaking, if the witches figure out there's a second layer where it's not just being PvP, but also they like, if you can imagine like a card game among friends, everybody plays with the same amount of money because they might win and lose each other's money, but they're all starting off with this type of parity. And this is kind of how the coven as a faction is established. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, because the incantation Witch Vault, in the PyreSwap lore, this is the summoning circle. Does that make sense? So all the witches are there working together, right? To open a portal or summon a demon, whatever the fuck you want. Fantasy fiction. We can write that in later, right? Maybe a little bit of both. But the fact of the matter is that, like, they all stand something to gain. They all have something to lose. But if they figure out the right balance of risk versus reward and fear against greed, they can all consistently make money every single round. And if you guys didn't understand what I was saying before, remember in the diagram there's a EPR target number 3. The coven themselves are what determines the pressure to move into target 2 and target 3 columns. When the coven gets good, that's when they'll be able to control it and get 16% yield every epoch. If the coven gets good at taking risk on each other and putting a little bit of trust on each other, that's where you can see these crazy yields that get sustained higher and higher and higher, because now the yield is not only getting increased. Okay, the yield is not only getting supported by the volume of the decks, the yield is now getting supported by the fucking credit in the system. Does that make sense? The human element is also capable of driving up the yield. Anyways, you guys, we are now at our 60-minute mark, and I want to thank everybody who showed up today. And we'll go into the deeper layers of the witch game here soon. And thank you guys so much for coming. And tomorrow, it's 6 hours earlier. And if you have questions, let me know. And I think I'll slowly begin going into deeper witch game stuff during these shows. Goodbye.